Working at a theme park, technology is hugely important. It was for all of my jobs. It is for my job now. And sometimes it doesn't work. Urgh. So what do you do when the technology behind your job goes wrong? It doesn't work like it's supposed to. Things aren't functioning right. Depends upon the job. Now, at Busch Gardens, we basically had the Land Rovers. If one quit running, we just grab another one. The biggest tech thing that we had a microphone headset, which we plugged in. If that quit, we just grab another headset. If it buzzed, we'd grab another headset. It was kind of annoying when it would do it in the middle of a ride, and you just get that nice high-pitched buzz, whine, screech sound that microphones make. But for the most part, tech wasn't a big deal at Rhino Rally. Now, at Disney, yeah, tech was a much bigger deal. Still is for me. It was at Disney when I got to the park one time with all my camera gear and then found out I forgot to bring memory cards. Yay, let's carry around 20 pounds of camera gear, no memory card. When I was shooting as a photographer there, memory cards weren't a problem. The biggest issue that we had was we had the camera, and then it was connected to a PDA, and then the PDA was connected to the Wi-Fi system. Wi-Fi was new, brand new. Cell phones didn't have it yet. It was something that really was on the cutting edge. The problem was the parks didn't have full Wi-Fi coverage. So you had places where the PDAs could not connect to the Wi-Fi, so it couldn't transmit the pictures up into the system, which meant your pictures got backed up on the PDA, and you could look and it'll tell you how many uploads were pending, and you'd start seeing your uploads go up into the 10s, 20s, 100s. And there were a couple times I saw it in the thousands, and you're like, ew. The Wi-Fi systems would sometimes go down. That's when we would lose photos, is when they got so backed up it couldn't get uploaded, and then the PDA would crash. Yeah, those PDAs. The personal data assistants, they were basically a little bit bigger than modern cell phones. Yay big. Those were probably the bane of our existence. They were also amazing. They were awesome. You could get messages from base. They're what allowed us to send the pictures without having to run around with memory cards, which was fantastic. Disney was the first to do that, and others then copied. It was a great system when it worked. When it didn't work, it was terrible, because you could always tell when the photographer's PDAs weren't working, because that's when we'd be shooting, we'd realize it, and we would step back away from the characters. Or if we were on Main Street, we would actually step off to the side. We'd get out of the way of where guests were and try to make it clear, hey, sorry, I'm not shooting right now. If you really need it, I can use your phone or your camera. Not phones, because phones really, if they took pictures, they were lousy. Cameras are still a huge thing. But generally, we were like, nope, get out of the way and try to fix it. And that usually meant turn it off, turn it on, hope it didn't delete all the pictures that we're still trying to upload. We had probably about a 50% success rate on that. But yeah, you just try to get out of the way, try to program it. It meant a lot of times disconnecting it from the camera, giving it a second, plugging it back in, see if the connection would refire. That was usually if the PDA decided it didn't want to take the pictures off of the camera, and then they were backing up on the camera too. Usually, if you have pictures on the camera and you disconnected it, those were probably going to get deleted, just because they didn't transmit right. That can be frustrating. We actually had a whole section in training on problem solving and tech issues, because so much of it was still new, and so it was a regular occurrence. The other thing that would happen is the cameras would have issues. This wasn't as often. Our biggest thing with the cameras was batteries. Okay, switch out the batteries, take the hot used batteries, put them somewhere that they weren't going to burn you, because those things really were hot. And then switch them out real quick. We got really good at being able to switch batteries in a hurry. If it was the main camera battery, it was just grab the spare, click, drop the old one in, flip the new one up. I could change a battery in about 1 second. If it was the flash batteries, that was a little more complicated, because we had 5 flash batteries. Normal flash unit takes 4. We actually had what we called a 5th, and it was an extra little battery compartment that slid onto the end over the battery casing. I could switch 5 batteries in probably about 3 seconds, 4 seconds. You'd get the new batteries ready, and it was pop it, drop them, slide the new ones in, and slap them in. You kind of get them arranged, slap them in real quick, pop that case on, and you're ready to go. Because you didn't want to miss any pictures. But when the camera decided it didn't want to work, which happened occasionally, Nikon at the time said that the cameras were good for, I want to say something like 200,000 photos or some number like that. It might have been 500,000. In any case, we were putting on more than double the number of pictures that Nikon said their cameras could do. And still going. Oftentimes it was 3 or 4 times that number before the camera started to give up the ghost. We were just shooting so many photos. But you would have that time that you would take the picture and the lens would click and stay open. Or the mirror, because they're DSLRs, the mirror would jam up. Or something would lock up. Okay, you tried to turn the camera off, hope it would reset it, turn the camera back on. Sometimes that worked. Sometimes it didn't. Sometimes you could go pop a battery out, pop it back in, and that would reset the camera. In the case of a stuck mirror, a lot of times it meant the long walk back to wherever the base was and no photographer at that location for a little while. You learn to troubleshoot your cameras quickly and figure out if you're going to have to take the walk or if you're going to be able to fix it on the spot. Still end up doing that a lot of times. You learn how to use your camera in a hurry. And like I said, we had a whole section of training on troubleshooting because you needed it. In fact, all those little issues with the cameras, I loved my DSLRs. But in addition to all the weight from carrying it around and everything, it's nice with the cell phone not to have to worry about those issues because they still come up on modern DSLRs. No worries on cell phone. Or the new digital, the mirrorless cameras don't have those issues either, which I really like. I could really use a good one. Yeah, okay, dreams. Anyways, although even then, I had one camera that I took on a trip when we went to Hershey Park and stuff. And my camera, for whatever reason, decided that the autofocus wasn't going to work anymore. And I didn't realize till I was about halfway through the trip that it's not focusing right. And my pictures are coming out fuzzy. I lost a lot of video footage because it was just completely out of focus and there's no fixing it. At that point, I really shifted over to my cell phone. Thankfully, I had a pretty good phone that was able to shoot 4K, but it was frustrating because you get all this video footage that you shot that's going to be great, and you can hear it, and you can kind of see that it was going to be good, but it's so out of focus. So yes, you still have that with modern cameras. You have video editing software too. Oh my goodness. If I could get a good video editing software program that would do what I want the way I want it at a reasonable price. I like the program I use, but it gets glitchy. And I don't know. Anyways, yes, there are times. Silver Dollar City, we didn't have as many tech issues. We had the sound system on the train that if that quit working, we had to call a tech. We could not operate the train without that sound system because it was a safety issue. And if there's no speakers on the train, they can't hear the conductor. And if something happens, so that would end that in a hurry. The other big issue that we had tech-wise, we had 2 things. One, you would have when the shotgun wouldn't fire. Whether the conductor forgot to load a bullet.
Oh, look, I'm out here. I have no gunpowder charges. Oops.
Happened. Quite a bit. Or they would drop the gunpowder bullet as they were getting ready to load it. And you just watch it hit the ground and you just keep going because you can't stop for it. In a case like that where the gun either misfires, doesn't fire, or you don't have the bullet, then the conductor would usually do something like,
"Okay, everybody on the train, make a big sound, bang!"
Or they just yell it. I usually just yelled it. And then the robbers would completely make fun of you because you got no bullet.
Oh, gee, sounds like bang, sounds like ouch.
It was a great opportunity for the robbers to razz the conductor. Yeah, that happened probably a couple times a month to me, just because of things. Sometimes you just get a bad gunpowder charge, and all you get was a little, yep, that was real intimidating.
Oh, what you gonna do? Shoot me with your popgun, Pops?
Yeah. Oh, we had fun with that. The other thing that would happen, our sound system out at the robbery at the time was not a great system. They actually at the time would bring in a much more expensive, nicer system during Christmas for the grandpas. After I left a few years ago, they finally put in a good system with speakers up in the trees and everything. Works great now. But our system was spotty. We had to be real careful at times because when we were coming up the hills in front of the speakers, the microphone in front of the speaker, feedback. And so if you watch careful, you'll oftentimes see the conductors or robbers when they're going past the speakers, you'll see them reach and do something like this. Hit their chest or hit their pocket. They're actually turning the microphone off briefly and back on so they didn't get a feedback. That was sometimes. Sometimes we could get them down less sensitive where it wasn't an issue. The other problem we would have, the big one, is batteries dying during the robbery show or the sound system not working or something like that. In which case, then we had to go old school. What's that mean? No microphones. It means you had to yell and project. And we had a couple people that had a hard time doing that. I didn't have an issue. I've always been blessed to be able to be loud. I could do a robbery show and still be loud enough for everybody to hear me, even over the sounds of the engine. In fact, I had a couple of the engineers say, "Wow, you really do have a big mouth, don't you?" Thanks. So that was our big recovery there is, if we had tech issues with the sound system, we just get loud and make sure that we could be heard. That was really our biggest tech things, was the gun, properly maintained, take care of it, and check those, make sure you got bullets in your pocket before you go. And then the sound system. Anything else really wasn't tech, it was mechanical. And then we gave it over to the engineers. That was their job, not mine. Yeah, that's how we dealt with it. And I'm actually impressed I didn't have a tech issue this time. There's usually something besides my setup where, trip over the wire or the dog or... Hey, so, what do you think about tech issues? Would you like to know more? Is there something I didn't talk about? Comment in below, let me know. Thank you so much to my patrons, my YouTube members for their financial support. If you want to know more about that, please check the description. Thank you so incredibly much for watching. God bless. All right. I need to zoom that out just a smidge. That's not how it was. Well, try it again. That's better. Yeah, good example. Okay, so this is when tech goes wrong. So what do you do when the technology behind your job goes wrong? How... I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. Be sure to share them in the comments below, or you can contact me. There's information in the description that has my email address, fan pages, information about merchandise, and so much more. So be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and if you haven't already, hit the button right up there to subscribe. And in fact, if you did enjoy this, I've even got another video for you right here. And also about these wonderful people here, those are my YouTube members and my patrons, the ones whose financial support makes this possible. I couldn't do it without them. If you want to know more about that and the perks that come with it, well, be sure to check the description. There's a link right down there. Thank you so incredibly much. God bless.